What is a 3-2-2 ad? Why don't we use 5x5x5? Why are flexible ads failing? Why is it that everybody that runs cost caps to a million different ads always sees fatigue and the only way to success is launching hundreds of more ads? And why is that complete nonsense? Well, hold on a second. Let me tell you. All right, so what is a 3-2-2 ad? Welcome back to 5-Minute Fridays. Let's get into it. We are using a very specific structure of 3 creatives, 2 primary texts, and 2 headlines for very specific reasons. The main point here is that creative is king. It's the thumb stopper. 80% of what stops the scroll is the creative. So let's start with the human psychology of how somebody engages with an ad. The creative itself is what stops the scroll. Then the eye goes to the headline to get context to the creative. Then the eye goes up to the primary text to get further information and details if they're interested. They might swipe away, they might click to the website, but if they're still interested, that's the purpose of the primary text. So to answer the question simply of why not more, you don't need complexity, you need binary decisions. More variation leads to clutter and confusion, and I don't think people really understand just how much more complicated it gets. So let's break down the math. How many different ways can you shuffle a deck? Now with a 3-2-2 ad, we have 3 creatives, we have 2 primary texts, and we have 2 headlines. Now this gives us ultimately 12 different cards. That's a pretty simple way. Each creative is 4 ads. 1 video or 1 image paired with 2 primary texts and 2 headlines. That's 4 ads. All right, so what happens if you make it a 5x5? It's not 12 ads, it's not 20 ads. In fact, there's not enough cards in this entire Uno deck to get down to the bottom line. It's over 125 permutations. And for you algebra fans, this is a number, when we think about how many different ways to shuffle the deck, that has 69 commas in it. That is massive. I'm actually going to do a point here to take a second to type the number out on the screen. Yeah, that's a lot. When you increase ad variations, like going from a 3-2-2 ad to a 3-3-3, 4-4-4, 5-5-5, or even add in all 10 possible options at the creative level, you are creating the ad version of shuffling a 125 card deck. You're introducing so many variables, the signal gets lost. Let's pretend it took you 1 penny to get to statistical significance for each possible combination. You would have to multiply the amount of money that exists in the world by more than the amount of people that are on the face of the planet, and then add the total number of grains of sand to not get close to the amount of money you would need to truly be able to understand if that ad was any good. So let's get back to why simple is better. And this is also why people say flex ads don't work and DCTs don't work, and why people that run cost caps are constantly pushing guessing what words go with which image, and why they try to take any one little win in any one little space and bet the whole future of their ad account on it, which is why all the ads fatigue. This is the crux of why all of those strategies fail, and you never need to fall victim to that thinking ever again. Instead, let me reframe the way that you think about finding new great ads. Let's have in our mind 2 versions of an ad. One simple, one complex. With a 3-2-2 ad, you can easily see what variation works, or if the whole idea fails. Does creative A get way more budget than creative B or C, and the output of that ad is something that we like? Do the headlines actually not really matter because they both get the same amount of spend? These are things that we can answer in seconds. When you're testing hundreds of possible variations that go out to that 69 commas, you're never going to get anything more than a false positive. One tiny variation in a sea of options might work once or twice. It's a fluke, and it leads to an overinvestment into something that is completely not scalable, or as many people call it, ad fatigue. Why do flex ads or dynamic creatives often fail out there in the public when people aren't running 3-2-2 ads? It's because the path to success is exponentially more difficult when you add more variations. The more possibilities you create, the harder it is to find a consistent winner. A single variation might work for a single person, but that's not scalable. And one of the reasons that ads that aren't dynamic work is because all of that data is going to one permutation. Whether it's good or bad, it's exponentially smarter and therefore more stable and therefore, at least in the short term, more reliable. The power of a 3-2-2 lies in its simplicity. Now, instead of building 12 individual ads that all compete with each other, cannibalize data, and make each other dumber, a 3-2-2 ad with its 12 permutations consolidates the data, meaning every impression to every possible variation makes the entire ad smarter. And the 3-2-2 versus anything more complicated works because there's fewer variations. There are clearer insights. This is a creative-first approach that leads to more reliable and scalable performance. All right, stay tuned till next week's 5 Minute Friday, and until then, I'll see you on the internet. Bye!